So we're gonna work on this vintage Mach-In 3ds Max and Substance Painter, and the first thing we're gonna do is, of course, we're gonna go to standard primitives, and we're gonna start from or using a cylinder. So this tutorial is basically for beginners, so we're gonna try to explain everything. I'm explaining this right now in real time. I'll try to explain everything I can for beginners. So to hide these boxes here, J from the keyboard in order to not see them anymore, and we F4 in order to see these lines around here, and to activate what we call the edge face, the edge faces. Alright, so first of all, I'm gonna get rid of these height segments, bring them back to 0, and I'm gonna double the sides here to 36 because I want to get rid of any hard edges or something of that sort. Also here, the radius we're gonna bring down to something reasonable, probably 10 centimeters. Is gonna be just fine. Alright, so the height also, we're gonna increase the height over here. But the thing is, I really like to work using the edge extrusion method. So right click, we're gonna convert this to Unwrap Poly because this is gonna give us way more control. And we're gonna delete this as well. And if you wanna hide the grid, you're gonna hit G from the keyboard. Okay, so I'm gonna select this one here. I usually use shortcuts when controlling the move, the scale, and the rotate tool in order to gain some time and try to avoid kind of moving around kind of moving long distances. So I use shortcuts. So R from the keyboard to use the scale tool, or use it from here, and you're going to keep holding shift in order to extrude the edge like this, and W from the keyboard to use the move tool, keep holding shift, move it upward, and once again the scale tool, we're going to use it from here, then keep holding shift all the time, scale like this. Then you're going to right click and collapse to bring everything back to the point in the center. Also, we're going to do the same thing over here. So we're going to lift this a little bit like that, and keep holding shift all the time, and use the scale tool and the move tool in order to create these types of effects. So when you see me adding edges, it means that I'm always holding shift. Okay, so we're gonna do something similar over here. Okay, and I'm gonna do it once again and keep going. What I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna select one edge ring, keep holding control to convert edge selection to poly selection. So select edges, keep holding control, select polygon to convert edge selection to poly selection. Right now we're going to extrude this. So extrude everything, and you can see that we are getting some weird results here. And the solution is we're gonna go over here to this arrow going down, choose local normal, and after that you can see that the distribution of extrusion is circular around our selection, and we're gonna bring this to something very low, something like probably a few millimeters. So we're gonna go with 0.1 probably. I think this is gonna be good enough. Probably 0.15 is gonna be good enough as well. So we don't have to worry too much about this because this is gonna be part of the floating geometry, not floating geometry, but it's gonna be part of the high poly only. So we're gonna now keep moving. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move this up like that, take it around something like this, and yeah, we will now extrude this, edge extrusion always, and probably gonna move it a little bit like this, move it even higher once more again. Alright, so we're gonna do keep holding shift all the time, and right now we're gonna go in like this. Alright, so we're gonna go to the front using F from the keyboard or L from the keyboard to go to the left side. So over here, of course, we're not gonna go all the way down, so we're gonna stop in this place, and then I'm gonna go back to perspective, P from the keyboard, keep holding shift, and using the scale tool, bring these, extrude these edges, right click, then collapse. Alright, so I want for now to change the color of this mug to something like this, because I want to have much better vision, or a much better view on what's going on here, because the that color wasn't really doing us any good. Okay, so right now we're gonna go to the side, F from the keyboard or L, it doesn't really matter, and we're gonna go to over here to shapes, and we're gonna select a line. So right now we're going to avoid activating the auto grid because it's not something that you're gonna use right now. So we're gonna start creating something that looks like this, basically. And this is, of course, this is gonna be the handle of the mug. It's gonna probably look something like this. It's gonna look like this. So from what I can see, I think we're gonna go back. So backspace from the keyboard to go back, and we're gonna stop over here and attach it like this, and right click to release the mouse and cut the line. So back to perspective, P from the keyboard, and what we'll do right now is, of course, first of all, I will try to chamfer this edge a little bit here using the fillet tool, and we're gonna get something that looks like this. Alright, so this is the first thing, and also I'm gonna take a look at the reference images I have. So this is what I'm looking at. This is what I call or what it is called pure ref. So you're gonna go to Patreon to find all the reference images I am using, or yeah, you can also find all the files and everything else that is necessary in order for you to follow what I'm doing here. And yeah, and you can also get other stuff if you check my other tiers on Patreon/Inspiration Cuts. Anyways, right now we will actually give this this line the third dimension, or the yeah, we're gonna take it to 3D. So what we'll do is we will enable in Viewport, enable rendering in Viewport, and this way we can see that we are getting something that is cylindrical, and our mug's handle is not cylindrical. It's kind of it kind of has 4 sides to it. So we're gonna go with 4 sides, but we have problem. It seems like this is not the angle we want. So what we will do is we will go over here to angle. I'm gonna go with 45 degrees. Alright, so this is what we got for now, and yeah, it seems like it is very close to what we want, but also the thickness is too high, so we will reduce it a little bit like this. Probably something like this is going to be enough. So I'm looking right now at the reference images in order to see how thick it actually is. Probably this is going to do it, but of course the width is not enough. So as you can see, I'm trying to increase it a little bit, and it seems like the thickness is a little bit too much. So probably one. We're gonna go with 0.5 actually, because in my mind I kind of think that it should look something like this. Probably 2. Let's try 2 because. Alright, so we're gonna convert this to editable poly for now. Alright, so I changed my mind. I want to go back and go with. I'm really not sure how thick this actually is going to be, but yeah, we're going to go with 1 centimeter or 1.2, and later we're going to change it if necessary. Alright, so right now what we will do is we're going to go over here to this side, and I want to make sure that the the end here is very thin, because we don't want it to be kind of thick and noticeable. So also these guys here, I want to push it away a little bit from the surface. Also these, we want to push them even closer, and it seems like these other vertices need to we need to actually change their position. Of course, here it seems like these are too much, so probably remove them for now. Okay, so basically this is how our handle looks like. Also here, this end here is bigger and thicker. Also we want to align them. We're going to go to make planar on the x-axis, put it inside. Also here we want this to be a little bit higher, because it's not that clear, that it's not very flat. So also we want to do something else. It seems like that the edges are a little bit not the way we want them to be. So what we will do is we want to select these edges, and we want to add extra edges and make them even smoother. So we want to select them all and chamfer. As you can see here, this result is terrible, so we're gonna have to change it manually. We have to select this one as well. So sometimes the chamfer is not gonna be as good as we expect it to be, and yeah, sometimes it doesn't work that well, but we'll see. Probably this is good enough. Also, we can change and tweak some of these manually. F from the keyboard. The point here is we want to create a smooth transition. Alright, we are trying to adjust some of the positions of these vertices. Alright, so also this one here doesn't look like it is in the right position. Okay, nice. So now we're gonna go to perspective, and yeah, I think that the width is a little bit less than it should be, so we're gonna make it even wider. And for now, I think we're gonna jump to the other things, and it seems like this is very basic, which is what it's supposed to be. So we're gonna open the material editor M from the keyboard and apply one of these empty slots, which is a standard shader. And also I'm gonna change the color to something like gray, because it's gonna help us to see what's going on clearly. For now, we're going to do something interesting, which is we're gonna jump to the next level. We're gonna select everything, as you can see here, go to the Toggle Scene Explorer, open this window here in order to be able alright, so for some reason this Scene Explorer takes lots of time to load, whatever the cause of this is. Anyways, we're going to create a new layer. So we're gonna call this layer mug _ HP, and double click on it. We're gonna double it. We're gonna create another version, make sure it is a copy, confirm that, and go over here and create another layer. We're gonna call it, let's see, we're gonna call it mug _ LP, and confirm that. Right now, double click on this layer, go over here back to the mirror and make sure it is no clone to bring it back to its original position. So right now we have two versions, the high poly and the low poly, one on top of each other. And for now we're gonna hide the low poly version and we're gonna work on the high poly version only. What we will do right now is we're gonna create support edges for this version because the high poly is really high poly, and we want to add support edges because this is gonna hold everything in place when we apply the smoothing modifier. So first of all, we're going to, alright, so I think I'm gonna start from here. So we're gonna select this vertex here and this vertex in the center. Keep holding control in order to convert vertex selection to poly selection, and you're gonna get something that looks like this. Inset, and we are gonna go with a small value in order to create support edges from the inside and from this side as well. Confirm that. Right now we're gonna go to Edit, Swift Loop, and what we will do is we are trying to add some support edges. This is as I said before because it's gonna tell 3ds Max what are the edges that need to stay supported, to be supported, and what are the edges that are gonna be soft. So this is basically a process of supporting the edges that are gonna be hard and everything. So also here I forgot to chamfer this one. Alright, so 0.4, probably I'm going to do the same thing for the low poly version because it seems like this is an important thing to do. 0.4. Okay, good. So we're going to go back now to the high poly, hide the low poly, and we're going to continue doing what we've been doing. So I'm gonna add here alright, so I'm gonna go up here and continue doing what we've been doing. Alright, do the same thing over here. Nice. Alright, so we're gonna go to the modify list and search for the Turbosmooth modifier. We're gonna get something that looks like this. So as you can see here, the Turbosmooth modifier is gonna make things look different on a different level. So it's gonna make things look way better. For now, I just isolated this. I forgot that this is a tutorial for beginners. Select this, then hide it from here using this icon or just Alt-Q from the keyboard. Or just Alt-Q. Shift-Q. I really don't... To be honest with you guys, I know how to use the shortcuts, but when it comes to actually using them and telling you what the shortcuts are and the hotkeys, it's just it's kind of the information is in my hands, not in my mind. So excuse me if I kind of don't remember everything or don't know everything I do, because it becomes kind of part of my instincts and part of my habits. So for now, we're going to actually, I just deleted this one here because we don't really need it. F4 from the keyboard in order to activate the edge faces mode. And right now we're gonna continue the support process. So we're gonna go to edit and add some support edges over here as well. Alright, it seems like that was very easy. Alright, also we must add one here. That was probably too much. Okay, so also here it seems like we don't have to add the support edges when we have open areas, because it's not necessary. So it's not really necessary. So the shortcut for isolation is actually Alt Q from the keyboard, and we're gonna apply the Turbosmooth modifier, and this will give us something that looks like this. Anyways, the handle does not look exactly like what I have in the reference image, but this is not really important, because, as I said before, this tutorial is for beginners, and if you're a beginner, I think you're gonna find this useful. Alright, so by the way, this is a game ready model. This is a model that is gonna be thrown inside a game engine in order to be inside a game. So that's why we have the high poly and the low poly version. Right now, we're gonna hide the high poly, and you're gonna bring up the low poly. Okay, and the thing is, the low poly is a model that is gonna have really low poly elements, and we're gonna right now try to remove anything that is not gonna be necessary in order to hold the silhouette in place. So we're gonna remove those. Keep holding Control, sorry, then backspace in the same time in order to remove these edges. Double click here, Control backspace to get rid of those also. And it seems like I'm gonna keep these in place because I think they're gonna be adding some good stuff. Alright, so here it seems like I don't know. Do we get rid of those or do we keep them? Probably we're gonna keep them. Okay, so right now we're gonna jump to the next process, which is gonna be UV Unwrapping. So we're gonna select this one here. Some people ask me if you should unwrap the high poly or the low poly or both, and the answer is very simple. We're gonna unwrap the low poly only, because the low poly is what is the final product. The high poly is just there in order to kind of imprint the details from the high to the low poly in order to have a low poly model that looks good and great as the high poly, and we're gonna throw it away. So what we need to keep is the high poly only. So for now, we're gonna select here, after we apply the Unwrap Uvw Modifier, we're gonna select everything here using this expand polygon selection tool, and we're gonna open the UV editor. After we open the UV editor, we're going to over here mapping. We're gonna go to normal mapping, and I really like to use this option here, which is box mapping, because it's really quick and it gives us better results. So there is a very important thing I want to do here, which is I want to cut this. So please deactivate or kind of disable the display of the seams that are green, which don't mean anything to us for now. So here I'm gonna try to break this over here. Alright, so double click. From the inside doesn't really matter, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna see which one is this. Alright, so I'm gonna expand this. I'm gonna actually rescale elements and back custom. So what this allows us to do is it allows us actually to spread everything across the 0 to 1 UV space equally, and this allows us also to see clearly. So I want to cut this over here. So what I'm going to do is right click and break. Alright, so we broke it in a place where it's going to be less likely to be visible by the viewer. So we are trying to hide our seams as much as possible. First of all, I'm going to activate the element mode here, and I'm going to select one edge here, double click, and then right click, then stitch selected. I have a shortcut for this, which is which is actually Shift S from the keyboard. So select the edge, Shift S, select the edge, right click, stitch selected, or Shift S. When you see the blue line, it means that the circle is over. You're going to do the same thing over here. Shift S, alright, keep doing this for stitching these edges together. When you see the blue line, it means it is over. I'm going to bring it over here. Also, these circles, when you see these circles, these are kind of things that you need to leave as they are. You don't have to modify anything because they need to be kept as they are. Also, there are some rules you need to follow when it comes to UV unwrapping that I talked about so many times before, and they are extremely important, especially when it comes to creating low poly models for games. Also here, these are going to be attached together. Alright, it seems like we have something interesting over here. This is kind of in between. Nice. And the solution for this is very simple. So I'm gonna select this and this. Okay. Then we are going to gonna go over here to convert edges to seams, and as you can see, this is how it looks like. And I'm gonna try to make it flat. So we're gonna use the planar map. I hope you can see this clearly, and we're gonna relax it. Relax, relax, relax. Nice. Seems like this is too freaking big. We're gonna bring it down a little bit. When it comes to these pieces, we just now need to stitch them together. Alright, so select borders. I don't really like this checker texture because it's blocking it's distracting my ability to see clearly. So select everything, as you can see. Stitch selected, Shift S from the keyboard, or right click, stitch selected, which is a similar thing, or the same thing I should say. Alright, so Shift S, when you see the blue line, it means it is over. Alright, it was over already. Okay, this means that these are kind of, this is what we've got for now. Rescale elements, put them inside the UV template, and also put them outside a little bit because we want to create other stuff. So sometimes we have kind of these empty spaces inside some of the UV shells, and what to do is we need to put the smaller pieces inside in order to gain some space. Okay. Right now we're going to open the material editor M from the keyboard, go over here to diffuse, and you're going to see this list over here. You're going to choose bitmap, and yeah, you're going to choose bitmap, and you're going to select the checker texture that I'm going to give you in, or you're going to find online anywhere, actually. So this is the checker texture I'm going to use in order to explain or show you how to actually avoid any stretching or distortions in your UVs. And yeah, we're gonna increase the tiling to probably 30 by 30, and we will see how this is gonna look. For now, we're gonna actually drop it over here and make sure that we're gonna show shaded material in Viewport. So this is how our checker texture looks like. And the thing is, it's gonna help you to see if there are any problems with the process of UV unwrapping you just did. I was concerned in particular when it comes to this one. It seems like it is very okay. Alright, so for now we're gonna work on the other part, which is this one. So we're gonna go over to Unwrap Uvw Modifier, open the UV editor, and as you can see, this is what we've got. So we're going to select this one here, and yeah, I want to make sure that we're selecting everything, and go to mapping, normal mapping, and box mapping. Alright, so you're gonna see something that looks like this. Okay, and we are gonna do what we've done before, which is select the edges, Shift S from the keyboard, or alright, so there is a dangerous thing we don't want really to do, which is to avoid these two pieces because they need to be separated. Alright, so we're gonna select and stitch selected pieces. We're gonna, alright, so these two actually need to stay separated, as I said. So we have two pieces that look like this. Alright, so it seems like we need to isolate things a little bit. Alright, so I actually made a mistake. I need to go back and actually remove this one because it wasn't part of the deal in the first place. So right now I'm going to show you another way to do this in a very effective way without actually worrying about what is going on and so on. So we're going to cut the seams over here, double click, alright, so we created our seams, and right now we're going to go to the UV editor, and it seems like what we worked on previously is there. Right now we're going to make sure that these are going to be flat. Also, you're going to use the fill mode in order to make it look like this, make it extremely relaxed. We're going to do the same thing here over here. Expand selection, make planar. Also, it seems like yeah, it seems like we need to attach these two, Shift S from the keyboard, and also there is one piece which is this one, which seems like it is not looking great. Anyways, we're gonna select everything, and we're going to expand selection, reorganize. I hope this is not very confusing for you guys because it seems like it might seem like it is difficult, but it is nothing. Trust me, it's very simple. But when you're new to something, I believe things kind of look difficult, and it applies to everything actually. Even I'm very familiar with 3D software and stuff. If you give me a brand new software that I've never used in my life, probably in the first few hours it's gonna be confusing, and later it's gonna look very normal and familiar. So in the first attempts to learn something is gonna be hard, then later is gonna be very easy if you practice. Okay, so I'm gonna open the material editor M from the keyboard, apply the checker texture, and yeah, you can see here that we have some stretching. The answer to this problem is we're going to relax it. We're gonna try to relax first. If it doesn't work, it means that we're gonna do something else. It means that we need to do this manually. So I'm gonna go over here to this type of extrusion, or actually scaling, and we're gonna scale it manually in order until you see these checker texture kind of not like this rectangles, but kind of in a way that the distance between these two kind of the length and the width of these checker pieces are gonna be similar. From the side, it seems like it is very okay. Alright, so also there is an issue here, which is these are not very straight, so we're going to try to make them look like they are very straight lines. So we're going to use this tool here, align horizontally. Alright, and you can use a shortcut. For me, it is X from the keyboard. Also here, it seems like we need to do this also on the vertical axis. Nice. Now we are going to change the size of the checker texture in order for it to match the scale of the other checker texture of the body of the mug. Right now, after we did this, we're going to select one of these, convert it to editable poly, and then we're going to attach this one and this one together. So technically, after we attach these two pieces together, we're going to apply the UV Unwrap modifier once again, because right now we want to create what we call the UV template. And this is basically extremely important, and it is the basis, or the what we're gonna need in order to actually create the baked maps in Substance Painter and everything else. So we're gonna rotate this few degrees, or actually 90 degrees exactly. We're gonna flip it vertically, horizontally, and we're gonna try to locate it in some corner in order to make sure that we are using most of the space we have. Also, these let's try to put them inside, and we're gonna try to be as efficient as possible, because this is really important in order to get a high resolution or a high res texture. Okay, so it seems like, and sometimes these can be problematic, because these circles and cylindrical shapes in general can be problematic sometimes, because they take they're not optimal for storage. That's why boxes ship in boxes, and that's why goods are shipped in boxes and not in barrels and cylinders, because it's not very optimal, it's not very good and efficient for storage, basically. So we'll try to find some space for these, and the issue or the problem is gonna be with these two guys. But if we think good enough, I think they're not gonna be a big of a deal. So we're gonna think of the position, or we're gonna find a way in order to stack them properly. Alright, so it seems like we need to rotate these about 90 degrees. Alright, probably we need to do this. Okay, this is, and as I said before, cylinders are not very optimal for storage and things of that sort. That's why you can see that we are a little bit finding it a little bit difficult to put these in the right place. Alright, so we're gonna put these over here. Also make sure that you don't make any mistakes or overlap any of these UV templates, because it's not going to be good. Make sure that they are kind of stocked well enough, but avoid any types of overlapping if necessary or if possible. So let's make sure. Oh my god, I hate when it's not gonna be good when you forget something. You're gonna make sure that you're gonna check that your textures are very well kind of unwrapped. Actually, your UVs are very well unwrapped in a nice way, and the checker texture is kind of an inspector that tells you where you are screwing up and where you need to fix things. And it seems, generally speaking, it seems like we're doing okay. So for now, we're gonna jump to the next stage, which is naming naming our high poly and low poly models. So right now we're gonna go to Tools, we're gonna go to Rename Objects, and we're gonna activate or check suffix, and we're gonna use _LP for the low poly and _HP for the high poly. And I'm gonna open the Scene Explorer, and yeah, I will convert this to editable poly. I will select the body of the mug. Alright, so this one here, we're gonna call it body, rename LP, hide the LP, low poly, bring the high poly. We're gonna rename this body HP, so change this to HP, rename, and it is actually renamed. So we're gonna jump to this one here, and we're gonna call this handle, rename. Alright, good. So now we're gonna hide the high poly, bring the low poly again, and it is basically, this is what is left of it, so we don't have to detach it or something. So we're gonna call it a handle _LP. Alright, rename. This is nice, and yeah, as you will see, when you bring down the scroll down, you can see that we have the body HP, handle LP, body LP. Alright, so we have these two guys, one for the two for the high poly, two pieces for the low poly, and together they create the high poly version and the low poly version. So yeah. So right now we're going to export our models, the high poly and the low poly, and once again we're gonna open our Scene Explorer, and we're gonna select the high poly, double click, then we're gonna go to File, Export, and Export Selected, and yeah, we're gonna go inside, and we are going to name this mug _LP, and we're gonna use the Autodesk FBX format and save that. Alright, confirm the process of exporting the files. We're going to do the same thing for the high poly, select that. File, Export, Export Selected. Right now we're going to use the same name, but the difference is going to be in the suffix. It doesn't really matter just right now for convenience. Also, I want to change this from FBX to OBJ because personally I find that baking using the file for the high poly works better for me for some reason. Okay, right now we're gonna go over to Substance Painter and we will start the process of baking. So right now we are in Substance Painter, and we're gonna go to File, Open New File, and we're gonna bring the high poly and low poly versions we exported. So first of all, this is the low poly we exported from 3ds Max, and we're gonna open this one only. And as you can see, the document resolution is gonna be 2K. Confirm that. Alright, so this is what it looks like. So this is our mug that we exported from 3ds Max, and right now what we'll do is we're gonna go over to the bake settings. We're gonna open the bake dialog, and we're gonna bring our high poly model that we exported also from 3ds Max. So when you actually bring the mug that you exported from 3ds Max, we're gonna go down a little bit over here to match. We're gonna go match by mesh name. We're gonna anti-aliasing. We're not gonna actually increase it until we make sure that the bake is gonna work 100%. So we're gonna change the high poly suffix to HP because this is the suffix that we use in 3ds Max, and this is why we used it in the first place, because it's important for baking. So this is the LP for the low poly. It doesn't matter really what suffix you use, but make sure that the suffix you use in 3ds Max is the same suffix that you're going to use here in Substance. Also, we're going to deactivate or uncheck all these boxes because we're going to actually do only operate now using the normals, and we're going to see how the normals work. If the normal map baking works, it means that everything else is going to work. So let's see if this is going to be a successful bake. Alright, so after we did the initial bake, it seems like the bake is really nice and it's working properly. And yeah, as we can see here, we are kind of getting some good looking results. For now, we're going to do the real bake. So we're going to open the window again. The reason why I do baking twice, because I don't want really to waste minutes or sometimes half an hour depending on how complicated your bake is, and later you're gonna figure out that it wasn't perfect and probably it doesn't work in the first place. So right now we're gonna increase the anti-aliasing to super sampling to 4x4, and this is gonna give you the best results possible. We're gonna check all the boxes here. Word space map, we're not gonna change anything. The ID is extremely important, so we're gonna make sure that it is the color source. It is mesh ID polygon/polygon, and also this is the most important thing ever, which is color generator. This is random, because if you don't work with these results, you're not gonna get what the result I'm gonna get. Also here in the AO, you're gonna change this to only by mesh name, curvature not really, position nothing in there is there. So self occlusion, we're gonna go also by same mesh name. So position here, as we said, nothing. We're kind of double check because sometimes things happen. Probably sometimes you don't realize what you're doing. Probably sometimes things don't click as you expected them to. But if you double check, you will never be disappointed. Alright, LP, HP, super sampling 4 by mesh name. The high poly is here, so let's go. So after the baking is done, as you can see here, we're going to go to layers and we're going to start adding some smart materials. So we're going to go over here to smart materials, and we're going to add, we're going to start with this bronze armor because it seems like this is something we can use. We're going to drop it over here. Alright, so this is how it looks like. Basically, without any modification whatsoever, it looks decent. It looks good enough, even in this state. Actually, some of the smart materials don't need lots of work because in the past, when we used Photoshop and 2D software for texturing, this will take you, I don't know, probably an hour or something to do, and in Substance Painter it takes you 5 seconds. Alright, so for now we're going to add another smart material which is very close to it, which is a bronze corroded. So we're going to drop it over here, but we're not going to use it as it is in its original state. After we apply this smart material, you can see that it is completely messed up. So what we'll do is we're going to add a black mask, because we don't really want to use it as it is. We want to use it as an effect using a smart mask. So we're gonna go over here to smart masks, And I believe this one here is going to do it. It is called cavity rust. So we're going to select it and drop it over here over the mask. This will give us a result that looks like this. Basically, this result isn't terrible, but we're going to have to adjust and make some modifications. First of all, we're going to go over here to the mask editor. And we're going to come over here to balance, global balance. This is generally what controls textures and masks. And you're going to find, either you're going to find level, whether it be wear and tear and some of the generators, and for the mask, probably the first thing you're going to see is global balance or level of something, level of the effect that it's going to have. So you're going to change this, and you will see the effect taking place on the canvas. And I want to try to reduce it as much as possible. I want to try to make it look subtle. I don't want it to be very pronounced and very obvious, because I don't want it to look like it is part of a museum or something. Just something that got affected by natural elements, and probably it's kind of something that we want to see when looking at a model like this. So I think this is it for the tutorial. I think this is very decent, and I think this can even make it into, even this simple thing we created right now can make it into a complex AAA video game, because these models here are not going to be super well crafted, just simple stuff that you throw in the corner just to fill your environment and give the impression that it is complicated and alive. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial. This is hopefully, if I see a good support behind these simple tutorials that I am creating for beginners, I'm going to continue doing them, and it's going to be very much appreciated if you can support me on Patreon, because this helps, and your support is not required, but it is very highly appreciated. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.